Why would... Video is going to be setting up Sammy's new bow. Not a new bow. It's the Mission Hammr. It's got adjustability, so it'll grow with her. We'll be going through all of that in detail, but wanted Sammy to be involved with the intro before we get started. But you're getting an old bow from her brother. He's buying it from him. He's buying a bow, a Matthews VXR, from me. I'll have a video of that after this one, the next couple weeks, doing that setup. And then I had graduated to the Phase 4 last year, so all of us getting upgrades. Sammy, what do you think about getting your new bow?
I have no idea. I kind of feel nervous, like shooting.
I shot really well with the. She had the. What did you have before? The PSE mini burner, right?
Yeah, but this thing's giant.
You're growing. She can grow with you. So she's gonna have the QAD follow-away, Hunter, and an HHA single pin sight with adjustability, so you can shoot farther distances like we were doing.
Hammr.
Yep, Hammr. Mission Hammr. That's right. Should we get to it?
Yeah.
Alright. Alright, so the way that I like to measure draw length is just to take the wingspan and divide it by 2.5. It gets me really close, and then I can fine tune that with D-loop adjustment or taking strings, either tightening or loosening them, depending on how the bow tunes. So let's get you measured up. Here you go. Yeah. Will you hold this end? Yep. You're at 51.5 inches. So 51.5, we'll divide that by 2.5, and then we'll get draw length.
My draw length is bigger than me.
It's just this little screw here. So there's markings, and there's a mod chart that you can find on any website, but they're on both cams. And you have to loosen these and then rotate this into the correct orientation. And there's 3 different locations on the actual cam, and then tighten them back up. They do oftentimes come with new screws that has just a little bit of Loctite on them. This one was actually set up already for Sammy. Her draw length is going to be 20 inches, so I didn't have to do any adjustment to that. First thing I like to do when I set up a bow, after I get the draw lengths good, install the follow-away. This goes through burger button here, mount it flush with the riser. The Ultra Rest has the micro adjustments on the side for up and down, and on the back here for left and right, in order to get it perfectly set. This was a used bow that Sammy bought from Rhino. A little bit of a hand-me-down. So it's got a little bit of wear and tear, but it's not too bad. Next we want to adjust it so that it is perfectly level. Levels here. Clamp them on. Brand new OMP micro adjust, so it's got to wear it a little bit, but got her where we need her. Now we take our arrows. We need to find our knocking point. Got our other level. We set on the arrow itself. We want to make sure that we're going right through the middle of the burger button. Looks pretty darn good right there. The other big thing I always do is make sure that it's 0.8125 inches off the riser from inside to here. I already double checked that, so that end is good because this rest was already set. But I will double check it later just to ensure 100%. But so our arrow is a little bit off level, so our knocking point should be about here. Sometimes you can go on the back because usually you want to set that up, and then that should be level. Should be either level or right on that back line. But this one's looking pretty good. So now I can tie in my knock sets just to ensure that it doesn't slide around on me at all. So I use this 3D BCY, got it from Lancaster Archery, like most people get everything. I like to do the top because the arrow likes to float up, so I like to do the top first. So on this one you go just under, and then tighten it. You want to put it like exactly where you want that sucker to be when you're done. Tighten it, then you loop around and do the same on the inside. So it's under, tighten it there. Make sure you get these things good and tight because it'll be a pain in the butt later if you don't. Do that one more time on the front side. One more time on the back side. And then on this last one, try to go right in the middle. So you make one knot here, and you try to get it right in the middle, like in between the two lines that I already made there. You do your double knot. Yeah, your first nice and tight. Flip that around, get your double knot. Then we're done there. Take the arrow back up. We can burn these strings. I like to use the edge of the lighter because otherwise you can get your fingers a little bit. The second side, I like to take it out of this and put it in the bow press. Put it under. And we start our second one, the bottom knock set. I like to do two, just to make sure that that thing doesn't move. So otherwise, you can pinch your knock, and that definitely affects accuracy a lot. I want to make sure that we got just a little bit of room, like maybe a millimeter, where that knock can move a little. See where that knock can move just a little bit, about a millimeter. Because by the time you do that D-loop, it will tighten up, and then you're going to pinch. And just like the other side, we try to tighten that first knot in between the two. Now we do our double knot. Take the arrow up. We finish up this side. Those are set really good. Next up is our D-loop. I've had the most success out of the number 24 loop rope. The silver, for some reason, just has better stretching properties. I've had issues with some of the other colors where, like, I was fighting it, and you know, you get really long V loops, and then that changes your draw length, and it's just kind of a pain in the butt, really. I like to get that first side really set well. Get your tool, went under here like that. Now we're going to try to tighten that really well. Take that pliers, just pull. Make sure you're using that flat end. So you're not pinching anything like that. Take this slider and you just kind of run it over the top. Do it nice and slow. And make that flat. A little ball is what's going to stop that thing from backing out. And we loop it over, under, back through, and up. Little trick that I always found. I usually try to make that thing like really tight like that. Just because when I stretch it, it really goes out. So I'm gonna cut this pretty short here, burn that just like I did on that little ball end that holds it, and then really stretch it. If you guys have found better ways to do it, you know, by all means, I'm always trying to learn. If you guys have a little better success doing things a different way, you know, it's hard growing, getting better at it. That's what we're all about here. Really stretch that out. Got a nice little D-loop. The little clamp that holds, you basically when you draw back, it pulls the arrow rest up so you can hold the arrow. But it's basically just a Phillips. Let's take the Phillips out. One end goes around the closest cable. The other one goes around your string here. I always try to orient that so that it's flat against the next. That way you're not going to rub against it. Keep it somewhat loose so that it can still move a little bit, because you're going to have to make some final adjustments on that. Just for all you beginners, don't dry fire, especially with a brand new D-loop. You don't want that thing to let free. Probably punch yourself in the face. Look at that, really nice knock travel there. Got my trusty Stan Onyx release. Homemade target here. So you pull that tight, draw back. Pull it a little bit tighter, and we can tighten it down. Close up. If you watch that launcher, within the last inch of pullback, the launcher goes up. So that's about right. One of the easier parts is the sight. You just got your two mounts here. Got your two holes there. I'm just going to attach this real quick. So last night when I was going through Sammy's bow setup, you guys probably noticed that I stopped when I was trying to set up the sight. Well, the problem is an HHA, unfortunately, the way that they were designed with the some of the, I guess, the cheaper versions, the inexpensive versions, the riser on this bow, you can kind of see here, this was altered. And it lines up perfectly now because we actually had to machine off this bottom part, because that was hitting part of the riser here that I'm alluding to. So I couldn't actually mount it. So if you guys run into this issue on a Mission Hammr where you're trying to put on like an HHA sight, single pin, I think this is the Optimizer Lite, which is a super nice setup, really nice rig. But the design had a little bit of an issue with the combination of the two different setups, right? So luckily I own a machine shop, right? So if you have any issues in the future where you run into problems like that, where you have to machine stuff, go ahead and reach out to us, analyticalarchery.com, and we'll hook you up. So we'll be tying a peak. No, we just have a 3/16 inch peak because we have an 1 5/8 housing, because we always want to make sure that we select the correct aperture so that, you know, when you're looking through the peat, it's perfectly concentric with the sight, so that you don't have room outside, because then you have error left, right, up, down, and naturally all your accuracy goes out the window. So we will be installing that. So tighten up the bow press so that we can get our strings separated. Usually people have string, kind of save your spot so you don't have to twist apart. It's really not that big a deal, but can be a pain in the butt. So when you get that sucker right in the middle, loosen it up. I like to tie in both ends, and normally when you do that, if you just do that, you have a little bit of movement up and down with it to get your final peep height for the person you're setting it up for. And then once they're perfect, then I tighten down the peep itself. I tie it right around the peep so it can't move. I found the most success out doing that. Again, if you guys have, you know, better ways to do it, feel free to comment. Let me know. I'm always looking to get better too. So archery is kind of a community thing where we all learn from each other. This one's a little different. This one I like to start on the top, just personal preference. But get this nice loop and you run the strings through the middle of it. Right, tighten that down. And here we just loop on the inside like that. We tighten again. Make sure each time you're getting it tight, because otherwise the whole thing can be super loose. Won't be fun. You get here, I like to loop 4 times around the string, and then you just work the string back. And when you're done, you pull the slack that you have nice and tight. Like always, burn it off. Now we just repeat on the other side. Then we'll be ready for final adjustments. That's how I tie a peak. Squirrels are running around out there. And there she is. So now, pretty much everything is done, besides you got your cam timing, we got our sighting in the bow, we're getting our sight installed and set up. Other than that, she's pretty close to shooting. Cam timing is an important part of the bow build. It's the last part that we have to do. We just want to make sure that you always have the safety rope around the D-loop. That way, in case it releases, you don't have a problem with dry firing. That would not be good in this scenario, as you can see. So you loop that around, you tie that in so it doesn't release even if the D-loop goes free. And you draw it back, and you just make sure that both cams hit at the exact same time. So the cam should come around like this, and each side should hit at the right time. If one side hits sooner, then you have to take it to a bow press and put a twist into the side that hits too soon. This bow actually timed perfectly, so on to the next thing. The last thing left to do is to paper tune the bow. Sammy shoots Victory VAP 700s. They're micro diameter. We'd like to try to make everything really light, decent FOC, so that we can get out a lot further with the lower draw lengths and draw weights. If you have any questions about, being able to do that for your setup, feel free to comment or email us, matt@analyticalarchery.com. We can go back and forth and discuss how we can get you shooting out further, especially if you have a shorter draw length and can't pull back as much weight. So here we go with the paper tune. I'm in the process of building my own custom one that's going to hang out, but not quite there yet. Comment below if you guys think it's a good idea for me to film that one too. First shot with this new setup. Bullet hole. Finish off this bow build. Just gonna get it sighted in for 20 yards, and then when we get Sammy all ready, then we'll have her shoot at 20 yards and then out at 60. Then we can properly set up the tape. But for purposes of this video, just go ahead and finish this up. You see how there's an adjustment here with the sight. I like to have it set up as high as I can and then set my 20. Again, you can do that by adjusting these two bolts right here. A little high still. Really like to make bigger adjustments so that we don't have to tinker with it back and forth all the time. So it's just these two screws right here, and here. I'm going to loosen them up. I'm going to raise the sight just a little bit because we shot too far. Low. Perfect. Right on. The reason why I didn't really want to spend the entire time going through the whole setup in this video it's just because it's going to take a little bit of time. Sammy's got a few things to work on, a couple of things that we really need to fix. So I'm going to walk through that a little bit as well, give you a little tutorial on some of the problems that I see a lot of younger archers have. And then hopefully that'll give you some good ideas on how to fix things on your end. Happy hunting season.